Jola. I'm a data analyst at Innovate Lab. And on behalf of the Innovate Lab team, I want to say a very big thank you to you all for coming today. The red carpet started some minutes ago, but some of us missed it. And we were expected to be networking with each other, but I saw that a lot of us were on our phones. So I want you to do something for me right now. You have someone sitting next to you. Some people are already looking down that, don't worry. This is a business event. It is for business owners, for entrepreneurs, for startup founders, for CEOs. And I know many of us will fall into that category. Have you now? We are not responding. You fall into that category. So I want you to look around. You are going to meet at least 2 people. And this is what you are going to ask them. At least these 2 things, you must know it. You are going to ask for their names, and what they do, and probably where their business is located. So if it is online, you can say, my business is online, and you can let the other person know the Instagram handle, the LinkedIn handle, whatever handle. So it's a networking session. Just very briefly, we are going to do that right now. So let me introduce myself to you. My name is Timileyin Abimbola Aroshola, and I'm a data analyst at Innovate Lab. Our office is located at General. So I want to give us the chance to meet 2 people, 2. So I'm going to ask you their names. I'm going to ask you what they do. Please don't talk to your friend. Talk to new people. Or should I pay us? We are still looking around. You have met her already. And meet another person. Meet another person. Sister Jesu, pay me. I know you, please. Should I tell them what you do? No. Yeah, meet that sister behind you. I'm observing you if you are not meeting anyone. Okay, that sister. Sister, good evening. Can I meet you? Yeah, come. I met Jomiloju David. So Jomiloju, meet him. Some people have not met any other person since. This is one of the most important skills that you need as a business owner. You must be able to relate to people. You must be able to interact. Even though you are an introvert, it does not matter. You need to be able to sell your business. Okay, I'm seeing some people doing it well. I'm already marking the faces of... Okay, let's round up. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you are still sitting at the back, you are wrong. Please move forward. I'm waiting for you, sister. Move forward. Thank you. Okay. So I want to know who you met. All right. Tell us who you met. Stand up, introduce yourself, and tell us.
Good evening. My name is Babafemi Comfort. I met with Toby, and he's into agriculture and education consultancy, basically. Okay, I'm into pant trouser business. So I sell pant trousers for female, different pant trousers, designs and all of that.
I said people now. You're supposed to pay fine. Okay, I'm moving on to the next person. Okay, please stand up.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Miss Prosper Osamidike. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Prosper Osamidike. I am a creative designer. So I met with Miss Deborah Adile Kon, and I met with Mr. Joel. He's into real estate, and Miss Adeleko is a researcher in Ogumosho. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prosper. See, I can remember his name. So one more person to go. Who did you meet, ma?
Good evening, everyone. I met with Mr. Boluatfel Yewumi, and he's into content writing. Oh, okay, sorry. My name is Adekonle Oluwadunsin. A I'm into medical clothing. I'm into word coats, scrubs for medical people. So, and I'm also interested in clothing and fashion generally. So I met with Mr. Boluat Foyumi, and he's a content writer. That's the only person I met. There was no time for it.
See, you don't know that some of you might be meeting with your biggest clients at this event. You might be meeting with your business partner. You might be meeting with somebody that will give you an idea that will move your business to the next level. So please don't hesitate to meet people. And as we move forward, there's still going to be another session where we'll get to interact and meet other people. So thank you very much. So one more thing that you have to do for me, I want you to, some of us have nice phones, but I want you to take a picture. Maybe I say, I'm not taking pictures. It's January 1, 2024. Don't worry, that's why you are here. So, because you have to learn business, how to put your business online, visibility for your business. But it starts with you. So I want you to take a picture, please, if you can, or you can take a picture. And I want you to, just share it on your status and write that I am live at eLab Open House event. Okay, can we do that? Can we do that? So you can post it on your other Instagram handle. Don't worry, we are taking pictures of you too, and we'll get to show you where you can get your picture during this event. So ensure that you are posting for the camera, ensure that the cameraman is catching your face, because you might be sitting with the next Elon Musk. So when you meet him in the future, just say, Baba, I sabi you. We did this event together. So yeah. We are my selfie people. The people on this roll, Sister Bola, take picture. All of you on this row, what's going on? Should I? Okay, I don't want to say I want to borrow my phone. Let's not do it like that. Oh yeah, now take a picture, a selfie. You can take with your friend. Maybe the next Folorunsho Alakija. Oh my. I like the oh my because it can become a reality. All right, Sister Glory is taking a picture. Take with the people around you. Precious, Afana, take a selfie and post it online. Say, I am live. So that the people that are not here will know what they are missing. I like some people, the way they are doing it. Victoria, thank you. I want to see it on your status. Say, I am live at Innovate Lab. I'm checking the people I know. I'm checking your status. So you are not taking picture. Okay. Yes. That's how to do it. I am live at eLab Open House event. Sister Gloria, I'm here to see your status. I'm seeing something that is nice. You are lucky, oh, sister. You are lucky, very lucky. Okay, thank you. So when you are posting on Instagram, you can tag Innovate Lab. Our handle is at Innovate Lab. At Official Innovate Lab on Instagram. You can tag us. When you are sharing your experience about the event, you can tag us at Official Innovate Lab on Instagram. All right, so I just want to tell you what to expect during this event. I know some of us, we are just hearing the concept of open house, maybe relating to an event. Some of us went to boarding house where we had open house. And what we know about open house is that our parents will come, right? Anybody can come and check on us and see what we are doing, that kind of thing. But for us at Innovate Lab, open house is where it's an open house, it's open to everybody. But what we do is that we have conversation around certain topics. So it's not just a business hangout, but this edition is for business conversation. So we are here to discuss how to build a great business, the philosophy around building a great business, the principles that you need, and we are here to also answer your questions. So when you are filling the form, some of you already noted down your questions, and some of you are yet to have any questions. But I can tell you that as we go ahead, the questions that you have will already be answered during the presentation. And if your question is yet to be answered, and you feel like you want to ask your question during the Q&A session, you can go behind there at the registration stand, put down your name or put down your questions. So if you would like to ask your question publicly, of which I will encourage you to do that, you have to start learning how to talk.
Unique is a Latin word for unique.
Wow. So you just learned something, though. So everybody, what's the Latin word for unique? We are learning already.
Okay. I have a vision for transformation. As a matter of fact, I believe that my life's purpose is around transformation, transforming Africa, transforming the world. And I'm building my...
Of some slides, and then it will lead us into a Q&A session, right? So, one of the things I have come to be persuaded about is that greatness, you can't gatekeep greatness. I don't know if you got that. Like, you can't gatekeep it. What I mean by that is, nobody can stand at the gate of greatness and tell people that you can't enter, particularly for those who are made for greatness. If they build a wall that reaches to heaven, people built for greatness will dig a tunnel and get into that compound. Are you getting the picture? When greatness is innate, there are no obstacles that can actually resist it. So it doesn't matter in Zimbabwe and expel all white people from South Africa. But he rose to the occasion and said, we will rather build together in peace. That's what made Nelson Mandela great. Did he have to buy that with money? No. Thank you. He didn't need to buy that with money. It was basically something innate that he chose to give precedence to. So today we're going to, dive into this interesting journey of how to build a great business. So let's go. First slide. For the different parties in Nigeria, for the different political parties, right? That's why you see people moving from one party to the other without qualms, without thinking twice. But in the US, in the UK, every political party is actually backed by a certain philosophy that makes it almost impossible for somebody to move from the Democrats party to the Republicans party. That's because if you move, you are basically saying that I renounce all the philosophy I have ever believed about how governance should be done. So for them, you first ascribe to a set of principles before you choose a party. But in Nigeria, you see somebody who is in APC today. By the next election cycle, where is he? In PDP. By the next election cycle, where is he? Is he NMPP or something like that, right? And so you just see people moving around. And that's one of the things that I've seen that is affecting Nigeria across the board. How many of you know the Nigerian company that is more than 100 years old? How many of you know the indigenous company, the only indigenous company in Nigeria that is more than 100 years old? Okay, someone knows. Alabukun. How many people know Alabukun? You know Alabukun, right? Can you imagine that Alabukun has been in existence for more than 100 years old? Oh, you know also. Oh, cool. Now, if you wanted to guess, if you had no clue, and I gave you A, B, C, D, would you have chosen Alabukun? No. Because Alabukun doesn't look fancy, does it? No, it doesn't look fancy. It is what bricklayers use, Abi, after I had this job. So it doesn't look like the kind of business that should have survived for decades and broken the century barrier. But we have so many other big businesses that were in vogue 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that they just, went into oblivion. They just went, defunct. The challenge is that most of those businesses were not built on philosophies that could be handed over from generation to generation. So this particular session is to help us begin to have conversations. I was hearing somebody say, I'm a millionaire. So in 2017, I was face to face with Leke Elder for the first time, right? And it was a boot camp that we put together in Ibadan. So it was a boot camp of about 50-something entrepreneurs, right? And we had Leke Elder, we had Tokpe Shonubi of Sahara Energy, we had Benga Olani of I've forgotten the name, but they were the ones who built. They built most of the top real estate facilities in what's called in Lagos. We had Ruke Awari Tefe. We had some amazing entrepreneurs. Leke Alda, when he came, he asked the lady. He said, "What's your business?" And then the lady said, "Well, I'm into the fashion space, the fashion industry." And then he asked her, what's the big picture for your business? And she says, I want to be one of the top fashion houses in the world. Then next thing he asked her was, who are the top 5 fashion houses right now? And this lady started scratching her head. Right? She wanted to have a top fashion house, but she had no clue of the top fashion houses in the world. That kind of abstract dream may never come to pass. Are you getting the picture? Right? So, who said you're a millionaire here? Who is the millionaire? You're the one. What's your name? Jesus pay me. Cool. Now, millenary is actually centuries old. I mean, like, it's arts and all of that. There are companies that are still existing that were serving clients 200 years ago. Right? Particularly in Britain and all of that. You need to study them to understand how they were able to build global businesses from just arts. Because, when you want to talk right now, a lot of people talk about tech as though tech is the best kind of business. But the richest man right now is not in tech. Bernard Arnault, right? Of LVMH. It's basically a fashion house, right? It has a stable of all the premium fashion brands. So how is it possible to take your tailoring, your fashion designing, and build something that is global, that is transgenerational, and that is profitable? Do you get the picture? Right? So that's what we're going to be discussing today. So a philosophy is a theory or attitude that acts as a guiding principle for behavior. That's basically what a philosophy is. It's a theory or attitude that acts as a guiding principle for behavior, right? Philosophies are powerful. They shape culture and they shape outcomes. Our world is shaped by, can you see the screen? Our world is shaped by what? Philosophies. And business is not left out. So we're going to see how. Next. Can you see this screen very well? Can you see this book? What's on the book? The Communist Manifesto. Would you have ever believed that a book could lead to the death of about 60 million people? Like a single book. Would you have ever believed that a book could lead to the death of how many people did I just mention? 60 million people. But this book was written in the 1800s, right? By two men, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. And basically what they were trying to say was that we need to live in a classless society where everybody is equal, right? Like, basically what they were saying was that the elites should not exist, that everyone should be equal. It doesn't matter what your abilities are. The result you should have should be equal with the next person. So there is this mythology. How many people read Greek mythologies, right? Odysseus. Did you read all those? You know about Zeus? Do you know about Zeus? What of Versace? The Hydra-headed woman, right? You know, Clash of the Titans. Have you seen that movie? Oh, okay. Reading is actually very helpful for, expanding your world. Now, there used to be this story about this man called Procrustes. So Procrustes was a giant. And Procrustes had a wicked way of dealing with people that came his way. So when they come to his house, so what it does is that if you come to Procrustes' house, it will stretch you on his bed. Right? If you are shorter than his bed, it will tie you with ropes and pull you until you are level with the length of his bed. So it means if you are shorter, by that time your limbs will have dislocated. Do you understand the picture? Right? So you will now, so for you being short, it will stretch you. But if you are taller and he lies you on his bed like this, it will chop off any part that is longer than his bed. Now, that philosophy or that story gives you the picture of the Marxist philosophy or Marxism. Marxism is saying that nobody should be beyond another person, that everybody must be equal. It doesn't matter whether your abilities should make you on this level. We will chop you to size. And so what Stalin, so the man called Joseph Stalin, the second ruler of the Soviet Union, basically what he did was that as he embraced Marxism, which had components of socialism and communism together, what he did was that he began to eradicate people groups that didn't seem to align with this Marxist philosophy. So what I'm trying to say is that philosophies are powerful. They don't exist in books alone. People read them, people take them in, and it influences their actions. Are you getting the picture? Now, the interesting thing is that many times, if you don't dig very well, you might not be aware of what philosophy is driving you. So you might just see yourself doing stuff and feel like this is how stuff should be done. But you might not know that somebody somewhere who you are not aware of is actually the person, shaping your life and influencing your life. And that is actually something that we see in business as well. All right, next slide. So this man, I discovered this man some years ago. And when I discovered this man, I will look at his picture and I say, Kai, how could you have brought so much evil into the world? Does he look evil? No, it doesn't look like Frankenstein. It doesn't look like, it doesn't look like a monster. It looks very polished. In fact, he was a professor in Chicago Business School, right? He was a professor. But he made a statement in 1970 in an article in the New York Times, 1970. It was called the Friedman Doctrine. And this was what the doctrine was postulating. Can we see what's on the screen? Can you read it together with me? The social responsibility of business is to what? Increase its profits. Now, I want to take some time and let that just, sink in. The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits. Now, is there somebody that wants to tell me whether this is I think I might have given you an expo already. Maybe I should not have mentioned he was an evil person, or because I'll have asked you that. Wait, what's bad with this statement? But seriously, is there anything bad with this statement? I mean, right? Nothing is bad, right? Cool. Nothing is what? Can you see from the back? Can you see what's on the screen from the back? Oh, okay. It says the social responsibility of business is to increase its profits. You have to really think very deeply to see what's wrong with this statement. All right, so let me read something that Martin Lipton wrote. He said the Friedman doctrine was a precursor to and became a doctrinal foundation for an era of short-termism, hostile takeovers, extortion by corporate raiders, junk bond financing, and the erosion of protections for employees, the environment, and society generally, all in support of increasing corporate profits and maximizing value for shareholders. This concept of capitalism took hold in the business schools and the boardrooms. Next slide. I will connect what I just read to what's on the next slide. Business philosophies have real-world consequences. How many people ever lived in the Niger Delta? If you lived in Warri, Ughelli, anyone? When did you stay there last? Last year. Do you have any idea of, the oil spillage in the Niger Delta? Okay. I schooled in Warri, right? FGC Warri. So I was very close to what was happening. First of all, there was gas flaring consistently. I mean, do you know what gas flaring is? Where refineries, they are releasing gases into the air. You see fire on the pipe, right? And then it's just releasing gases into the air. First of all, that was polluting the atmosphere. But that was not enough. There's a company, I think I can even call the name of the companies, right? So there's a company called Shell. You like to work in Shell, right? Eh? I mean, it would be very good to work in Shell. Don't you think? It would be very good, right? Cool. But you see, far away from the headquarters of Shell, the places that bring the money into Shell's coffers suffer devastating instances like this, where their entire water bodies are polluted until no fish, no aquatic life can survive. In fact, I had many pictures I could show. There was one particular picture that somebody dipped white paper inside the river. And by the time he brought it out, the stain on the paper showed that it was oil that filled that river, that was in that river. So apart from the water bodies, even the land has stopped producing. Because you know that if oil is upon a river, then oxygen ceases to actually, move in and out, right? So what happens is that all the aquatic animals, what do? They die. But the funny thing, many communities, there was a man called Kensariwa. Do you remember the story of Kensariwa? Kensariwa was actually protesting against this thing as far back as the 90s, early 90s. He and the other Ogoni people, right? There's a tribe in River State called Ogoni. And they were protesting that the companies that were drilling oil had destroyed the natural habitat. But let me tell you why for those companies it didn't make any difference. It was because of Milton Friedman's doctrine. That the social responsibility of a company is to what? Maximize its profits. So it doesn't care if people die in the process. It doesn't care if the environment is destroyed in the process, as long as what? You can maximize what? Profits. So there's another company called Boeing. Um, how many people know the plane maker called Boeing? Right? Yeah, so there's a plane maker called Boeing. And some years ago, within a month of each other, 2 of their planes crashed. How many people remember Pius Ade Somi? You remember Pius Ade Somi, right? This man was in the airport in, I think, Addis Ababa. No, Kenya. I think it was in Kenya, Nairobi. And he just finished tweeting something like, it doesn't matter where I go, like you will find me or something like that. He just tweeted the scripture verse on Twitter. And then he went offline because he had boarded the plane and people were expecting him to land in Nigeria. I do expect him to land in Nigeria. The next thing, the news we got was a plane had crashed. And so people were like, hope it was not the plane that carried this man. Because Pius at that time had begun to rise in his influence in Nigeria. In fact, it was that same year he just spoke at the platform. Pastor Poju's event, right? You remember the platform? So he had just tweeted and everybody was expecting him. But by the time the news broke, the sad news was that he had died with that plane crash and a number of other people. But the interesting thing was that it was not only in Africa that Boeing's plane crashed. There were many other malfunctions across the world. And they had to, the International Authority of Aviation, had to ground all those planes that Boeing had produced from flying. But you know the story behind those planes' failures? It was a case of the executives telling the engineers that no, we can't spend that much on these planes. Reduce the cost. So they were telling them that no, you must reduce the cost to the barest what? Minimum. Why? Because they wanted to present a quarterly report that will show profit to their shareholders. And in the process, people what? People died. Now, go back to Milton Friedman's quote. Let's look at that quote again. No. Yes. So let's read what he said again. The social responsibility of business is to what? Increase its profits. Now, does that still sound okay? Are you following me? Yeah. There's a reason why if you would build a great business, you have to have the philosophy right. In the short term, it might not make too much sense, but in the long term, it will make sense. So what Martin Lipton said was that the Friedman doctrine was a precursor, meaning that it was what birthed and led to an era of what? Short-termism. Meaning that what can we gain now? Next slide. So the final example there. No, go back. How many people have seen people that have taken loans on loan apps before? Hope you know that this thing is not funny. You know some people have committed suicide. Yes, because of loan apps. Because the way the loan apps will present the loan, they will say, get a loan in 5 minutes. No collateral. But then there is fine print. They call something fine print, where they won't tell you what the real interest rate is when you are collecting the loan. It's after you have collected it, you will now know what the interest rate is. So some of those loans have a 100% interest rate. I tell you. So when you think that, I will get money to pay this back. So you've calculated, I'm borrowing 50,000 naira. So most likely at the highest, they will ask for 10,000 extra. So I'll pay 60. By the time they calculate what you will pay back, you see like 120K. So you projected that I'll be able to get this money in 1 week. So you took the loan for 1 week. But by the end of 1 week, you only have 60K. So you pay the 60K. They now tell you that the loan for every day of default, this amount is being added on top. You know what some people will now do? They will now go to another loan app and now borrow from there again to pay these guys. Most of these loan apps, or a number of them actually, there was a time when I read an investigative piece. Some of them came from China. The interesting thing is that they cannot try these things in China because the law will prosecute them. But they brought it to places where they know that people will be gullible. Why? Because Milton Friedman said the social responsibility of a business is to what? Maximize its profits. So it doesn't matter if people die in the process, right? Have you seen people that they used obituary? They said, they sent to your phone and said, this person on your contact list is dead or something like that, or is a kidnapper. I don't know. I've heard of such stories. He's a thief, right? I tell you. So in the process of offering loans that they know that are not ideal in the first place, they have also murdered the reputation of that person. So that the person will now have to start going around everybody to say, sorry, please ignore all those messages. But to be sincere, in a low trust community, in a low trust country like Nigeria, people will be using side eye. Like you, we need to be careful around you. Are you getting the picture? That's because some people are building businesses based on short-term gains. They don't care about the long term. And that's a business philosophy, actually. It's a business philosophy. Recently, some things have been going on about the banks, about the fact that the banks are recording profits in huge numbers. Staff are not having commensurate review in their salaries. So the CEOs and all of that are going on with fat bonuses. But the people who are doing the real work are still operating at the barest minimum in terms of whatever it is. Are you getting the picture? Now, the reason why the banks will want to cough up like 10% of their bottom line to give to their, to their staff is because if they want to show their annual records, right? They call it annual returns. Annual quarterly reports, annual reports. They need to show their shareholders that we made a profit in this quarter. Because if they don't show their shareholders profit, what will happen is that people will divest of their shares. People will sell their shares. So every corporation, Friedman's doctrine, will do anything possible to increase profitability. It doesn't matter. I have examples. Facebook is also in that group. It's in the same WhatsApp group. The reason, there was an African company that was working for Facebook, doing like moderation work. So what happens is that not all the content that is posted on Facebook is allowed to remain on Facebook. So there are some people that sit, they have AI that view. Some of them saw things and they started having mental breakdowns. They saw videos of people beheading people. Like those are some of the things that are put on Facebook. Child rape, all kinds of things. Now, these people were the ones seeing these videos and flagging them and pulling them off. They now ask that, please, we need access to therapists so that our mental health will be preserved. The things we are seeing are too bad. But they said, the contract we have with you is this amount. So if you go and take care of yourself with the money that we are paying you. Why? Because when the quarterly earning calls are made, they must announce what? Profit. All right, so let's go. So I've shared with you a particular business philosophy. There are a number of them, but that's the most popular. The shareholder. So it's called the shareholder doctrine or the shareholder philosophy for business. But I have 3 streams of philosophies that have crystallized or influenced my approach to business, and I'm going to share them with you because these particular philosophies make me know. This is a matter of fact. I'm not in doubt about it at all that generations will study the company we are building. Like it will become textbook content. People will study line upon line to know how to build businesses. Like I know it. It's not, I know it like I know my name. My name is Jesus Damlari Adeshegu David. So the way I know my name is the way I know that in the days to come, people will study Innovate Lab. Harvard Business School will do case studies, not one. Case studies on Innovate Lab. Like I know it. The reason why I know it is because of these philosophies that I'm about to share with you. All right? So let's go. All right, so there are 3 different men on this screen. And the 3 of them represent specific philosophies or concepts around building business. The first person is Jim Collins. He is quite popular, right? He wrote the book Built to Last, right? And then Good to Great, right? Cool. So Jim Collins is an expert on the concept of building great companies. And, you know, when I was reading Good to Great, I began to see a lot of things that we had been doing that we didn't find in textbooks. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, so this is actually what we've been doing all this while. So we'll come there. The second person is Dave Blanchard. He's the founder of Praxis Labs. And the philosophy that he champions is the philosophy of redemptive business. So we have great companies, we have redemptive business, and the last person is Dioc. Dioc. He wrote the book, The Birth of the Chaotic Age and Chaotic Organizations. And the philosophy that he put forward is the philosophy of chaotic organizations, right? I'll try to do a very short work in compressing them together because I want us to go to question and answers very soon, and so that you can ask to your arts content. So Jim Collins, great companies, Dave Blanchard, redemptive businesses, and Dioc, chaotic organizations. Are you getting me so far? All right, next slide. So what is a great business according to Jim Collins? What's a great business according to Jim Collins? Interestingly, the 3 of them, for Jim Collins, he has been able to help us crystallize the what of great businesses. The what. Dave Blanchard was able to help crystallize the why. Then Dioc was able to crystallize the how. All right? So what typifies great companies or great businesses? Somebody said they do Ewa going. Who is the person? Amazing. What's the name again? Yeah. Juliana. So, you know, there's this woman. Have you heard of Ayo Megbope before? You've not heard of her. So, you know that Ayo Megbope started a moi moi business in her house. Inside her house. She was a banker, I think. But she will cook moi moi and our family members will eat it and say, hey, see moi moi. So after a while, they began to now tell her that, please, during weekends, help us cook and send to us in bulk, right? So she will be selling, so she was selling to them. After a while, the volume of business she was doing was now even more than the salary she was earning at the bank. Decision of just leaving the company and starting our own, like focusing on our business. So she stayed with packaging and all of that. Then she went to, I think, Lagos Business School or something to, you know, learn about the business side of things. And during the course of our studies there, people in our class began to order for our moi moi. And they said, we be eating moi moi, but this one is different. You know, some of us, we don't know that the way our mothers cook some food, it is actually a secret. Like it is proprietary knowledge. You know what's proprietary? Meaning that it is intellectual property. You see that your mom, the way she cooks rice, every day, every time she cooks, the same taste, it does not change. And it is always making you ask for more. You should go and ask her, Mommy Ejo. You know. Come and show me exactly how you do this stuff. So to cut the long story short, they were doing a banquet in the White House during Barack Obama's tenure. And do you know who they invited to come and cook moi moi? At the White House. It was Ayo Megbope. They say they say, they used to say something like something that went to Harvard. Our own memory went to White House. Now, what I'm trying to say is that building a great business is not first of all about the business idea. It's not about it. So it's not, you don't have to feel insecure that, hey, somebody just said, I'm building a robot that will help you, doing your assignments or something like that. No. Like, you don't have to be feeling like, wow, like, so what is my own crocheting? How can it stand side by side beside somebody who is building robots? Robots are the future. But I can tell you that crocheting is also what? The future. Because people will still keep wearing what? Clothes. So, these are the three outputs that typify great businesses. So the first is superior results. Every great business must have superior results. It's non-negotiable. If you will be a great business, you have to have superior results. It must mean that you are able to crush the goals within the sphere of your business. Now, let me ask you a very good question. How many people know J.J. Okocha? Great dribbler, right? Amazing player. But if you want to talk about the greatest footballers in the world, is he usually mentioned? Why is he not usually mentioned? Because the trophies that they normally use to evaluate sports, right? It doesn't have most of them. Do you get the picture? Like, because Ronaldinho said he admires Okocha. But Ronaldinho's admiration is not enough to put him in that list. Are you getting the picture? Ronaldinho has both the skills and the results. He has the trophies, right? He has the Champions League. He has the World Cup. Doesn't he have them? He has the Ballon d'Or, right? So he has those things to show that he not only has the skills, but he is recognized as having those skills. So it will not be an abstract thing. It will not be you telling yourself that I'm great alone. Like, greatness is both intrinsic and external. There must be those who can say that indeed, by virtue of the metrics to measure greatness, right, in this particular business, then you are one of the greats. That's because you are able to tick the box of the things that make businesses in your category, what makes them successful. Are you getting the picture? Right? So I say, yeah, if you're a sports team and you don't win championships, you are not great. You have to win at the business you have chosen. You have to be healthy and profitable while delivering great returns on invested capital to be considered great. Number 2, distinctive impact. If you were to leave the city where you are operating, will anybody even know that somebody left? Is that a match? It sounded like a match. Oh, thank you. Okay, I still have time. Now, let me ask you a question. In Ogbomoso, can you list companies that if they leave now, like Ogbomoso will feel it to a large extent? Eh? Item 7. Okay. Danjuma. How many people know Danjuma bread? So, is what Danjuma bread doing, is it something so unique that somebody else cannot do the same? So, can somebody not do the same thing item 7 is doing? Eh? Somebody can, right? Okay, we'll dive in deeper. If your enterprise or company were to leave your city, who would miss it? Would people feel like, Kai, there could not be a replacement for this person? That's one of the things you use to measure what? Greatness. That there is nobody that is able to fill the gap. That even if people try, they will only be able to fill it to a measure. It can never be 100%. It shows that what you have built is not just a business based on financial, like buying and selling, It means that what you have built is also an experience that no other person can actually replicate. Are you following the picture? All right. Then number 3, lasting endurance. That's the third thing that makes a great business, lasting endurance. So the question is the ability to have great results and a distinctive impact so that people will terribly miss you if you were gone over a long period of time. Now, through multiple generations of leaders and product cycles and technologies. Now, what that means is this. There was a tragic incident that happened recently, and that was the loss of Albert Wigwe, right? Now, what happened after he died was that his co-founder of Access Bank had to come out of retirement. That's Ige Imokede. Ezekiel, did I pronounce it right? Is it Imokede? Ige. Oh, you don't know him? Oh, wow, okay. Imokede. I don't know. But Ige had to come out of retirement. That was because there was a culture they've been building that he knew that because of that loss of Herbert, if somebody who was not capable did not step in, they might lose the momentum. But the question is, if Ige was not also alive, would there have been a person that could stand in to fill in for Herbert? And then the quality of Access Bank's, brand, culture, services, would they have still remained intact? That's how you know what is actually a great company. So let's give a very good picture of this. I want to use a brand that we should know. A brand that we should know. Let me see. How many people have worn Timberland boots before? Have you used Timberland before? Cool stuff. Like, have you seen the quality of Timberland from generation to generation? Like, there's no compromise in the what? In the quality. In fact, Timberland at this time sells itself in the sense that it is word of mouth kind of. They don't have to do as much adverts. That's because there is a category of people that is the kind of shoe they will consistently what? Wear. Because the quality is given no matter what. In fact, when I was secondary school, I had a Timberland boot, but they stole it. We went out and then we came back. By the time we came back, my locker had been broken and my shoes were missing. And the room's door was still padlocked. So they came in through the ceiling. But you see, that shoe is a shoe that I could have worn and given somebody. After maybe I feel like I'm done. But the quality will still be intact. And the person too could have worn it and given somebody. There was a company like that in Nigeria, Bata. How many people know Bata? The sandal company, right? But after a while, they left Nigeria. But I think they came back recently. Bata shoes were solid shoes. Like, they were shoes that they maintained their quality, no matter how many people wore them. So the challenge now is a company maintaining quality only when the founder is present in the business? Or is he able to maintain it long after the founder has exited the business? So now, when you begin to think that way, what you begin to think now is about the fact that you need to decentralize the knowledge that is in your own head. A lot of business people like to keep everything they know in their head. And that's why the moment they are not involved in their business, everything falls apart. The day they have to go on maybe a trip, they will have to shut their business because they know that nobody can handle it the way they handle it. But that is a weakness, not a strength. So Jim Collins was able to tell us that superior results, distinctive impact, and lasting endurance are the qualities of great businesses. Right? So next slide. So now, why build a great business? Now, the question of why is actually something that you can't force on anyone. Everybody has to decide that they want to build something that makes a difference. That they want to build something that is going to tangibly shape the course of history. Now, the interesting thing also is that it doesn't take much for you to be able to dream like that. And being part of this meeting is a proof that you actually want to build something great, right? It shows that you are interested in doing something beyond the norms. Like, sincerely. I don't think, okay, there is a point where I get to share a bit of my story. Greatness is not circumstantial. It is a deliberate and intentional commitment backed by a burning vision and discipline. Great businesses will always follow from great leadership. So the first person that determines how great a business will be is the leader. And so how do you build a great business? If you were to go read Jim Collins' book, it will tell you about something called a level 5 leadership. Have you heard about that before? I want you to write it down. Level 5 leadership. Level 5 leadership. Careful. Now, a level 5 leader is basically the kind of leadership that Dave Blanchard described in this framework. So this is the redemptive frame. So David Blanchard and his folks came together to help us see that there are 3 kinds of businesses in the world. The first is the exploitative business. And we've seen some of them already, right? They exploit. They don't care who loses their life in the process. They exploit. The second is an ethical business. Ethical. Like, we'll do what's right. We'll stay within the law. But the interesting thing is that one of the main reasons for businesses to remain average is that they stay on the ethical level. Like, we'll just do what's right. Majority of businesses, actually follow ethical models. Like, let's do what's right. So what happens is that what you do as a business does not so blow people's minds that when you go, they'll begin to say, nobody ever served us like this business before. Do you get the picture? All right, so let me give you a very good example. Imagine that we have 5 restaurants, right? And this restaurant decides to start using Panadol to cook meat, right? You've heard of those things before. Have you heard of those things? Yes, some people use Panadol. When I was in boarding house, so the kitchen was outside the dining hall, right? So they cook, the workers will cook, and then they will bring the food inside the dining hall. Then they will, put it in pots. There was a particular day, I forgot who was serving. Maybe I was the one or somebody else. And as the person scooped, it was a bar. As the person scooped the bar with the spoon and put it on one of the plates, right? The next thing that happened was that we saw a small frog inside the bar. I was like, man. I was like, man. So how are we sure that the entire the entire bar is not polluted? But borders now. They'll say, cut it away, right? Just cut that side away. And the next time, I've forgotten what we were eating as well. It was fingernails we saw. There was a particular day, it was also a bar. Suddenly we saw one strand of air. I started pulling the air. The air did not finish. Now, imagine there is a restaurant that, as far as they are concerned, what they just want is to sell. So people don't wash their hands when they cook, right? They just do all sorts, but they are making money. The other ones say, as far as we are concerned, we will make sure that we'll do everything well. We'll wash our hands, we'll do everything. We'll wear air nets or whatever it is to ensure that all of these things do not, that's ethical, right? Like, you just, like, this is what I want others to do for me as well. But then you get to a point. There is this particular restaurant that they go to the point where they are able to find out if you have allergies. And so they cook food that does not trigger allergies, even though it is more it is more, how do I call it, costly for them. And they still keep the price level. Now, which one of those 3 restaurants, if they leave, will you miss? Is it not the third one? It's the third one because they are going above and what? And beyond. They are actually involving sacrifice in being able to serve you. So what David Blanchard basically is saying with his frame is that the leadership that will build great businesses must have a mindset of sacrifice. So this is the concept of the leadership that will lead a great business. The concept is, I sacrifice, then all of us will win. An exploitative business says, I win, you lose. Doesn't matter, as long as I win. An ethical business says, I win, you win, right? So we'll both win. Is that bad? It's not bad. But then there is one that's even greater. It says, I sacrifice, and all of us win in the process. That philosophy of leadership is foundational to building great businesses. Because really, the building of business will be tested on all levels over time. And if you don't have a sacrificial disposition, you will find yourself falling back to the place where I cannot come and go and kill myself. I'm like, see, let's do business. It's business. Business is what? It's business. Are you getting it? All right. So next slide. Now, what a great business is typified by 3 outputs. Can you remind me? Number 1 is what? Superior results, distinctive impact, lasting endurance. That's the what. These are the characteristics of a great business. Then number 2, why? What is the why of great businesses? What pushes them? It is that we want to build something that even though it costs us much, but at the end of the day, all of us will win. Like the entire stakeholder ecosystem will know that these people sacrificially made it possible for every one of us to benefit. Are you getting it? Let me give a very good analogy of such a company. How many of you know Bovas? Do you know Bovas? Do you think Bovas actually ticks the box of like the kind of leadership I described just now? Bovas knows that we bought our fuel. So let's say before the price hike, right? Like from like when they import the refined crude, right? Let's say before the hike, they were selling at, let's say, $100 per barrel. Let's just say $100 per barrel. And then they bought all that fuel. And then they are selling it at the previous price. Knowing that when they go back to the market to go buy, they will be buying at extra cost. But they have not, because of that, hiked their pump price for any time. Another thing is they don't hoard their fuel. They don't create artificial scarcity. In essence, what they are considering is that how can we best serve the people that we serve, even if it costs us some money in the short term. Now, have you seen how rapidly Bovas is spreading everywhere? Do you know when they actually came into the consciousness of the nation? It was in 2012. In 2012, there was a national strike of NLC. The labor union in Nigeria went on strike. And then there was petrol scarcity. So there were 2 things that happened at the same time back then. But while those things were happening, every other petrol station had shut their doors, right? And said, oh, well, like we're about to make a killing. So they began to hoard so that people will queue for a long time, then they will sell at very expensive, exorbitant rates. And people were buying. But suddenly, people just began to post on Facebook. I went to Bovas today. God will bless them. God will bless them. It was the same price of before. And we didn't have to spend too long. They were just, moving us and all of that. The next thing was another person gave their own testimony. Next time another person gave testimony. Before we knew it, they had shared the posts again and again and again. The people were putting it there that please come to our city. Back then they were only in Ibadan. In fact, I remember the one that actually was the place where it blew up. It was the Bovas at Orita Mefa. You know Orita Mefa in Ibadan? For those in Ibadan, right? Around UCH. It was that Bovas that actually blew. Many nurses began to also testify and say, these people are lifesavers. They are God sent. Then the next thing was people started calling them. Come and set up here. By the time they set up in any city, people just rush to them because they can trust them. So in the short term, they lost money. But in the long term now, just their brand alone. In fact, and I feel they will soon start franchising. What I mean by that is, they won't even have to be the one to use their own capital to start the petrol stations. So you will apply. You will bring the until people, if we could achieve this purpose, then my life will have had meaning. So in essence, what's your name? Dulce. All right, please come. Yes, please. Come. Thank you. Your name again? Damilola and Dulce. So imagine that Damilola and Dulce, they could do anything with their lives, right? Yes. They could decide to go start a business or even go work for another company. But you are telling them that, come and join me. Let us build this company together. Now, when you are telling them to come and join you, many times people assume that it is just you telling people that I'll pay you this amount. I'll pay you this amount. And then they will come work. But that's not what allows great companies to be built. You have to be able to paint a picture for them, to them, that is so compelling that when they hear what you have said, when they see the picture of what you have said, they will say, if this is what I spend my life doing, then my life will have been worthwhile. Are you getting the picture? So it means that even if Google were to offer them employment, they will say, sorry, what you are offering is not as compelling as what we are doing here. Did you get what I just said? Yes, how many of you like to build businesses like that? And do you know that it's very possible that people will say that what you have painted, Kai, if we can achieve this stuff, then I can look back on my life and say, I lived a truly worthy life. You can't cut corners on this question of purpose. In fact, you cannot bobo people. Thank you. Go have your seat. What did I say? What did I say? You cannot bobo people. Let me tell you the truth. If you are mounting, I remember there was a time, if you go to the banks, if you go to different companies, you will see all these roll-up banner, right? That says mission statement, vision statement. Very lofty stuff. And they will write core values. Right? People will know when those things are just mouth alone. As against when it is something that is propelling you yourself as a leader. So you must have captured a vision and a purpose that is so compelling that when you share with people, they will say, we are going together. Do you get it? That's number one. Number two, you must now build principles by which that purpose says that this thing applies to any business you are trying to build. If I were to be starting a construction company, that's we build houses for people, it will also still start with a purpose, like a compelling one. If I were to be selling, what's it called? Water. Do you know that some people, okay, so there's this company called Liquid Death. Have you heard of Liquid Death before? Okay, some people have heard of Liquid Death. Liquid Death is this company that sells water, but they sell it inside a can. I mean, imagine, like, Schweppes, canned Schweppes. But this time around, it is water that is inside. So what is Liquid Death's purpose? They know people are battling with alcoholism, right? So, and they also know that a lot of time when people go to parties, right, they don't want to look like they are not strong men, right? So people want to hold beer in their hands. So what Liquid Death now did was that they designed it like it was the can of an alcoholic drink, but it is water that is inside, so that you can hold it and be feeling cool. And you'll be drinking water. But Liquid Death right now is doing numbers in mind-blowing volumes. And it has helped the life of many people, right? Because many people have now been able to break free from their addictions to alcohol. And they are drinking more water. I'm just trying to say that it doesn't matter what you are doing. If you can find a compelling purpose, everything will fall in line. You will discover that you'll be able to build a solid stuff. So when you say Alabuku is just pain reliever, but it has lasted for 100 years and more. Now, Alabuku does not really have much branding, but I believe that what the founder had in mind at the beginning is what he passed down to the people that took over from him. So they might not be well branded, they might not be flashy, but they are still keeping to their promise till today. That if you take Alabuku or whatever it is, your body pains will what? Will go. The next thing is principles, right? So the principles are actually, so what I'm thinking to do is, we're going to be sharing some resources with everyone for you to see some of these things in action. So we'll share some resources with everyone. Like, everybody registered, right? So we'll share resources with you that you can go back, and some of the resources will be from the lab, like some of the things we've been doing in the lab ourselves, and some other curated content that we have put together for you. So you're going to be getting a Google folder that has about 40 resources, amazing resources that you can deep dive into. Yeah. All right, so go to the next slide. I think I might be able to skip the rest of this. Okay. Have you clicked edit? Okay. Select. All right. Full screen. Yeah, thanks. Next slide. I mean, these ones we'll send the slides to you as well. Next. Next. I was going to actually tell you a bit of the story, but I'll just pick one and then we'll move into question and answer. You get to ask questions. When you ask questions, I want you to be as bold as possible with the questions you ask, right? Because sometimes it is in the question you ask that some insights will pop and then it will help so many people, all right? So those who would actually ask their questions, be very bold about the questions. All right, so there are 5 things I listed here that I wanted to talk about. An unflinching belief in the bigger picture. So what's the big picture of Innovate Lab? We feel like we believe so much in the fact that any city Innovate Lab goes into will basically re-engineer that city and turn it into a flourishing innovation ecosystem. What we mean by that is that the presence of Innovate Lab in any community will first of all elevate the possibilities in the hearts of people. It will equip people to begin to think beyond the limitations of their contexts. It will show them what's possible from those contexts. Number 3 is that because of Innovate Lab's presence, there will be an inflow of so much resources into the community that it will be possible for everybody to experience prosperity and abundance, right? And these things we will do because of a host of things, right, that we offer as services, and because of sacrificial. Now, let me give you a very good example. We held the first Lautech Innovation Challenge. How many people know about the Lautech Innovation Challenge? Like, Innovate Lab held the first Lautech Innovation Challenge. Let me tell you what happened in Lautech because of that event. When we went to the university and said, hey, we want to host an innovation challenge university, and we'd like to partner with the university said, sorry, we don't have any setup that can accommodate an innovation challenge. We're like, interesting. A university of technology, that's very interesting. So we now said, but we want to have this event. So they said, okay, we are going to put together a committee on innovation that will be the ones you will interface with. So for the first time in Lautech's history, that was in 2018. So Lautech was formed in 1990, right? So that's how many years after? That's 28 years after. The first time, and a committee on innovation was what? Was put together. So we held the innovation challenge, and some of them came for the event, saw the things that happened. And then the next thing was when the report, we now gave a report to the VC, and when they saw the results of that innovation challenge, it was then the directorate called Laukrid. How many people know Laukrid? In Lautech. That was when Laukrid was established. And the next year, Lautech now had its own innovation challenge. So, through the innovation challenge that Lautech now had, Lautech as a university, they were able to help some people get grants, go to Abuja to present their inventions and innovations and all of that. And they've been able to, they've been having a cycle of resources coming into the community and students helped. Now, that was simply because a company used its own resources, right, to put together an event. I mean, we could have said, we will keep our resources to ourselves and do what we will do with our business. Let Lautech hold itself, right? But what we have done has kickstarted a chain reaction that the school community is still reaping till today. Interestingly, many of those that passed through the Laukrid program, who are graduates now, they are still harvesting the results till today because now they have things to put on their CV. Is it not? And then in 2022, we put together the ODS. How many people were at the ODS? The ODS was a financial sacrifice. Like financial sacrifice. There was, to be sincere, you can do business and be profitable and be in your corner without anybody knowing. And a lot of businesses do that. where they are just making profits and they are not helping the collective community. So they now look like a one-eyed king in the midst of blind people. Do you understand the picture? Where it's just like, we have one company there is doing very well, but it is not helping the community. But after ODS 2022, there was an explosion of creativity in the community. I mean, different events began to take place that were inspired by that summit. Do I have witnesses in the house? And that was because a people were able to sacrifice to make that happen. Now, that's the big picture. We believe that if we can empower other people, we will arrive at our goals far faster. Let me say something about, okay, I've already mentioned the matter of fact knowledge that will be studied for generations to come. We know that one for sure. And as I stand here, at least we have had presentations of Innovate Lab done in about 4 universities outside Nigeria. Like, people did case studies on us. And we have not even done anything yet. I still feel like we are 10% of what we are planning to do. And that is already happening. How much more when we are able to meet that? What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter where you are. How many people have seen the signboard for Innovate Lab before? Have you seen an Innovate Lab signboard before? No, you have not seen. But you have felt the impact in the community, right? Exactly. In fact, we have wanted to put signboard in front of our office many times. But we felt we want to show that it's possible not to have a signpost and for people to feel your presence in a community. And I think we've been able to do that. So if you are working from your hostel, or if you are working in a room in a bar, or if you are working in one remote location, and those who are listening to me, if you are in Ede, wherever it is, that you feel nobody can see me here, we've been able to show to some extent that you don't need to have the external trappings for your impact to be what? To be felt. Next slide. So you want to build a great business. We are here to work alongside you and support you. Thank you.
Wow. A round of applause. Make it better, make it better, make it better, make it better. Thank you very much, Mr. JD. Thank you. That was awesome. One thing about Mr. JD is that you can never get tired of listening to him. Who can bear me witness? You can never get tired. It's always fresh. Even if you have heard him talk about a concept before, anytime he talk about it again, it's always fresh. So he said something when he was talking. I hope we all took notes because we are going to reflect together, and I'm going to pass the mic. I want to know what you were writing down. So he said that great businesses will always follow great leadership. Did anyone catch that? And I can tell you that the reason why Innovate Lab is what Innovate Lab is today and what it will be tomorrow is because we have a great leader. Please appreciate Mr. JD. And I wish I could tell you some of the inside stuff going on in our organization. I'd be like, wow. But do you know the gist is that you can be part of the inner circle. Who wants to be part of the inner circle? I want to see you. If you want to be part of the inner circle, raise your hand. Not too many people. You don't want to know what is inside the inside. Okay. So if you want to be part of the inner circle, we'll be creating a community for business owners, entrepreneurs in Ogbomosho. Who is happy to hear that? So if you have been longing to be part of a business community, we are bringing it your way. But you're going to be subscribing. You're going to be subscribing for the community. So, and again, there's something that always amazed me when Uncle JD speaks. If you want to be a great speaker, if you want to be somebody that speak and people wonder that you are very thoughtful, you must be able to think well. And there are times that we might be having meeting at the lab, we are just trying to deliberate something, and it's just quiet. And when it contributes, you are wondering that, okay, sir, where did that come from? And he has been able to, he mentioned something that a great leader must have the ability to distill his knowledge. Did we grab that? He must be able to transfer it to others. And he has been able to do that over the years through one of our courses at the lab, cognitive training. So what we teach in the cognitive training is critical thinking ability, which I know that every leader needs. So very quickly, who is ready? I want us to quickly reflect on what Mr. JD shared. So just let us know one or two things that stood out for you while he was speaking. So I'll start from behind because some of the people in the front, they've spoken before. So my friend is laughing at me because you laughed. The mic is coming to you.
Okay, so what are you asking?
Your name and what you do.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry, I was not expecting this, but let me just try. My name is Adenike Adiodun, and I am a human capital development practitioner. I just founded a company called Litpath Development Hub. So, what I learned today, I learned about purpose, because it's not like I did not have a purpose for my company, but it was not compelling enough. From what Mr. JD said, I knew I had to go home, think about it, maybe meditate, pray, and just maybe ask God to enlarge my heart and give me a deeper purpose that can compel people to come with me on the journey of building my company. Is that fine? Thank you.
That was powerful. Who is already thinking about purpose for his or her business? I think that one of the things that you should do from this event is that you must begin to list down action points, the things that you need to start doing for your business to become a great business. So, one more person to reflect. Is there a volunteer? Wow, thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is Adoku Julius. I think one of the major things that I took from this event is more of as a business person, you should not be so much focused about making profits. Because in the recent, most of the business books are really is always based about profit, profit, profit. But I basically talked about the profit aspects. That it's not always about the profit, but always about the people you are serving to. So
Thank you very much. One more person from this side.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ilesomi Praise, but I prefer to be called Beams, which is my brand name, which stands for Beauty is my signature. I'm a wrestling artist. I actually came late to this program, and I met him when he was talking about purpose. I've been the kind of person who wants to always align my God-given purpose to my business purpose. I have, a dream to help sex workers, ladies, and all of those things. So I'm always like, God, give me money for my business so that I can help ladies out of the street. But then I've been praying for how I was going to help people see that goal and then be ready to partner with my business and. So when I came in and he stood there talking, it was kind of like an enlightening. I just understood what I should do and how I should go back home and set things into place for people to actually see that goal. So that's what I got from tonight's meeting. Thank you, sir.
Wow, she got clarity. Thank you very much, sir. Very shortly, we'll be having a short break. Yeah, a very short break. Please, during the break, try to network with one or two people, ask for their names, their business, their Instagram handle for their business, And if you would like to ask question in the question and answer session, please meet with the registration, go to the registration stand and put down your name or put down your question. But I want to encourage you to put down your name. It's very important. So we also have, the pictures are ready. If you want to have access to the pictures, so you can just scan this QR code or use these links. Use this link to get the pictures. So thank you very much. We can go on break.
Please do not go home yet. The next session is very important, and it's very essential that you participate. So go to the registration stand, put down your questions, put down your name if you want to speak for yourself. But do not go home yet.
Okay, please let's begin to reconverge. The break is now over. Don't worry, you continue. You continue later. Okay, please let us reconverge. Thank you. People at the back, please. You can now come back to your seats. Please. Please let us reconverge. Thank you. We are starting the next session now. Thank you. Welcome back. Thank you. Please let us reconverge. Please, those at the back, I'm waiting for you. All right. Now we are moving to the question and answer session. Some people have already written their names and their questions. Thank you very much. And I feel like this is the time where you get to ask Uncle JD anything that you have been looking forward to asking him. So an example of a recent occurrence that has been going on. We are all experiencing the network issues, right? Are we experiencing the network issues? Or we are using Starlink? Please, if you are using Starlink, I want to come to your house. So let me come and use your network. But have you wondered what the network providers must be going through right now? They must have received a lot of criticism. In fact, many of us have, sent a lot of negative comments to MTN and Glo. And I personally had to re-educate people on my status. It's not MTN and Glo. Let MTN and Glo breathe. Do you understand? And I feel like one thing that you have to ask is, how do I handle criticism as a business owner? Do you know how to? So these are some of the things that I'll be learning in this session. And I will not be the one moderating this session. The moderator for this session is Ms. Funto Adeshola. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us this evening. I hope you've been having an amazing time. Have you been having an amazing time? All right. So this is where it gets, practical, real. I'm sure you enjoyed that session. You have so many things to take home. So please, we're still expecting your questions. But when you registered, we asked you to, drop your questions in the registration form. So I have a few questions here with me. And we're going to get started. Right. All right. But before you get started, can we appreciate Mr. JD once again? Okay. Can you try that again? All right. Yes. So the first question here says, I would love to get a better understanding of how to deal with external factors or external parties involved in making a business successful, and how to build a scalable business in an industry that is yet to be widely accepted by the market.
So the question you're asking is external factors. So I feel external factors are everything that is beyond the business owner themselves. So whether it's employees or policies, government policies, it could be market forces, it could be basically anything. For instance, just what Timilein was saying earlier. MTN, Glo, well, maybe not Glo, MTN MTN majorly has been experiencing very serious challenges with their internet connection. That's because the fiber cable, the undersea cable that brings internet to us was, damaged. Interestingly, Nigeria is not the only country affected. So, like other countries on the west coast of Africa are also affected. And the damages that happened to the cables going to their own side was even worse off than Nigeria. So that's an external factor. So the very first thing is an entrepreneur or a business leader must realize that they must be like the proverbial sense that you must be resilient. Resilience is one of the key characteristics of a business leader, of a business owner. You will need to be able to handle pressure, handle things falling apart around you without you getting overwhelmed. And one of the ways that happens is there is something called the inner self-talk that a person has, your inner self-talk. When things are happening around you, what are you telling yourself on the inside? Do you begin to tell yourself, things like, I'm done for. Hey, see my life. A lot of people have these conversations internally, and it affects how they can handle, situations. So let me give a very, very interesting instance. During the first ODS, we had gone to get a generator from Ilorin. Like, we went around the Bomosho, we didn't see anyone who had that size of generator for the Great Hall. So we had to go hire a generator from Ilorin. We got it in the night before, and the fuel was ready, everything was ready. So the mind was, we'll get to the hall the next day and switch it on, and then we'll be good to go. As they were about to switch on the generator, they found that water had mixed with the engine oil. So it was something they discovered at that moment. And so they had to start, first of all, removing the engine oil so that we could get a new one to pour inside. But while that was going on, everybody was already waiting for the event to start, right? And so at that point, it should have been when I kind of just, collapsed in terms of I disintegrated. But when all of that was happening, I was smiling. Because why was I smiling? I felt like I already knew the outcome of the summit, that the summit would be a success. So that what was happening was just a small blip, right, on the radar. It was just a small inconvenience. So I would go tell people, hey, calm down, it's fine. Like, this thing's going to come on, it's fine. 1 hour, 2 hours, it hadn't come on. So I think it came on after 2.5 hours. And as at that time, some people had left, but the compare, the MC we brought, was also somebody that when, I spoke with him, I realized he had the capacity to hold the attention of the audience, even when things were not going well. Some other people, if that was their first time, they wouldn't have been able to manage that kind of situation. But he was able to hold the audience attention even while all of that was going on. And then when the power was restored, boom, we had a very nice time. But what I'm saying is that it didn't start on that day. It started by building resilience in the small things that happen. So let me ask you a very good question. If things are going wrong or bad, are you always looking for a scapegoat? Somebody to blame? Are you always looking for somebody to, deflect the responsibility to? Or are you thinking that I'm going to make this right? Now, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you can't have people as options to put blames on, irrespective of their input in actually leading to whatever the challenge you are going through is. You must know that you are the one who is responsible at the end of the day. So what this does is this. Number one, I have learned, just as Bolu said earlier, Bolu said experience is the best teacher. I would say that vicarious experience is the best teacher. What that means is that let me not be the one to experience it. Let me observe somebody who has experienced it and learn from them, right? So that's one of the reasons why I read a lot of autobiographies. I read autobiographies a lot because there's nothing new under the sun. As a business owner, there is no challenge you will face that people have not faced before. So if you're able to read stories and see how people handle those things, you will most likely be better equipped to know how to handle those things when it's your turn. I want to use, we are using the Lions Lounge, and my brother is the owner of this, facility. And there was a time he had a client that he was to deliver a job to. And then the client told him that, I need this thing delivered to me by Monday or so. And this was Saturday. What he basically did was that they worked overnight, like for 2 nights straight. They got the stuff ready, and it was on the way to Lagos in the midnight on Sunday. And he arrived in Lagos at the right time on Monday. It cost them more than the person paid. But what he has been able to say from that experience is that they've never gotten a negative review since they started building. So Conqueror is the company I'm talking about, right? They've never had a negative review. Now, you as a business person, it might be your supplier that disappointed you. Maybe the person that was meant to deliver the material for the wedding gown that the bride should use, right? And the person did not deliver it on time. Or you took it to a laundry person and the person burnt it. You know, you could start saying, I mean, it was this person that did it. But instead of putting blames or looking for where blames will go at that point, your major assignment is to ensure that the bride has a befitting cloth at that point in time. So it's possible that you might look for people that have, bridal garments for rent, right? And rent one for the bride for that day. At least for that issue to be covered up for that period of time. And then afterwards, you can do a full refund. That this is all your money. That I have disappointed you, but at least it did not become public. And I'm willing to refund you your money. Now, if you are profit driven from the get-go, just as we described, what will happen is that every time there is such a challenge that you experience as a business owner, you always be seeking to protect yourself at all costs, at the expense of your client or your customer. Whereas that should not be the goal. You should be willing to forego like the short-term benefit, the short-term profits for a long-term testimony or testimonial that this person, if you give this person a project, you can be sure that the person will deliver excellently well. So you need to develop resilience, to be able to push back against all kinds of things that, distress you and that come against you as an entrepreneur. I think that's the first part, right?
Yes. The second part is how to build a scalable business in an industry that's yet to be widely accepted by the market.
Okay, so if you are starting as a pioneer in a market, be ready for work. I tell you the truth. Be ready for what? For work. There is someone who owns a gym here. Is she still here? Oh, she has left already. Okay. I was going to ask her that, who are the categories of people that come to the gym? A lot of times, the idea people have about going to gyms is, it is only those that have excess weight to shed, right? That go to gyms. So if you bring a gym to a place where everybody is slim, right? You will have to do a lot of education before people can start seeing the value in what you are presenting to them. So pioneers will spend a lot of time first educating their markets. So it will not just be an immediate like acceptance. Let me give another example. Let me use Ogbomosho as a very good example. I want to use an example that, okay, let me make it broader so it's easier to get examples. I'm looking for a particular, okay, let me use investments. Let me use investments. How many people have heard of MMM before? Somebody said Mavrodi, Abi? MMM. Now, after you have experienced MMM, or you know somebody who has been burnt by MMM, somebody is now bringing something like Cowrie Wise, right? That is telling you that, hey, come and invest in us. Now, is it going to be immediate acceptance of such a product? No. You have to first undo the trauma in people's minds, Abi? Right? You have to first undo the trauma in people's minds. So you must build trust first before people will be willing to do business with you. So you have to factor that into scaling a service or a business in an industry that is not yet well known. Then another thing is, when you build out education, another thing you must now understand is that sometimes your first mover advantage may not be sufficient to make you benefit from the education you have given a market. So imagine that you are the one educating the market, and you're educating the market, and people are now saying, hey, we get it. Then the first day they use your service is the day that, like, your front desk officer is not answering questions well, or your server, shuts down, right? Or the link to your website is broken. What happens is that all the effort you have invested can be wasted, because if there is another person who has been studying you and seeing what you have been doing and also have built something, but this time around they built a very great product, what happens is that when people try you and you fail at what you are offering them, they just port to the next person. Do you get the picture? So if you're building something in a field, in an industry that is not yet well developed, you have to do a lot of education. Number two, you have to invest in building out a great product or a great service. Very important. And then number three, you have to be your own competition. What I mean by that is that you must not rest on your horse. You must I remember one time when it felt like all the networks, the telco networks, right? The moment you register with them, you have to have their SIM, abi? And people have known your number with that. People have known that your number with you. So you begin to think twice that this service is very bad. And I don't want to go and get an extra number. So you just stay with them. Until one time when they made it possible to port. You remember Saka? And saying, that I don't port, right? The moment it was easy to port from one network to the other, people ported en masse from some of the very bad networks, right? They just ported. Most people came to MTN, right? They just ported to MTN. And it was because these people were offering great service at some point. Now, it's possible to have multiple SIMs on a phone. So people are not too bothered about porting anymore, right? I'll still keep this number and all of that. But imagine that people could port in that business that you are doing. So you are doing it, you have labored and you have sacrificed to educate people. You have now built a product that is not great, or the experience is not great. So you've done all of that, and then people just port to somebody else. Now it will be investment down the drain. So you want to ensure that you educate people, you invest in building a great product or a great service, and you keep improving yourself again and again and again, so that you can have longevity with the clients that you serve. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, sir, for that answer. Okay, so I'll be calling on one of us here. Ogunyale Elijah Jesu Sheye. You are bold and you are courageous.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, you can have this.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. JD. I really love Mr. JD a lot. I see him as a mentor figure. And I want to ask a question, but I want to give some background information before. My name is Ogunyale Elijah Jesusheye, and as I said earlier, I'm popular as sui generis. I have a vision for transformation. It has always been my vision. I believe that is my purpose. I was born for this. And even though I'm a student of nutrition and dietetics, I don't plan to work as a nutritionist. I already figured out, I know I'm a public speaker, and I'm building myself on that.
Cool stuff.
Last year, 2023, I bought and read over 30 books. Wow. And I have a big library of books. Wow. Even as a student, I'm a 500 level student of nutrition and dietetics department. So I read a lot. I'm growing myself, and I kind of memorize a lot of quotes and all too. I want to know how, one of the burdens on my heart now is, I already have a dream for a brand, Mquip, and our vision is to empower and equip all people for transformation. I also have an organization which is not a profit-making organization, Youth Leads Transformation Network, and our vision is to nourish all minds for transformation. Okay. And what I'm thinking about now that bothers my heart is, how do I attract people of like minds? How do I attract people who share this kind of vision with me? It's not alone. I know by the grace of God I'm growing, but it's not alone to grow. It's not enough to grow alone.
Yeah.
How do I have people around me who grow in the same line with me and share this vision, because it is a bigger vision than I am, and I don't think I can ever be able to achieve it within the short lifespan that I have. So how do I attract people like that who are going to kind of help me carry this vision all around the world? Because I believe from Nigeria here, I'm going to reach the world. And that is my vision.
Amazing, amazing.
There's a question here, a similar question. So I don't know, maybe it's the one that wrote it as well, but it's a bit different. He said, the question says, how do I attract talent as a startup without the monetary incentive? I also want to learn about knowledge sourcing, curating, and creation.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Can we give him a round of applause? That's nice. No, don't be polite with your round of applause. Give him a round of applause, you know. Cool stuff. All right, so you have asked a very amazing question. The strength of any great enterprise, organization, movement, it's in the rough. So they are ready-made people, and they are what? Gems in the rough. For ready-made people, most likely, they are already working on purposeful things already. So the cost implication, not only monetarily, that would attract such people could be overwhelming for someone just starting. So, I mean, it wouldn't be bad to have someone like Akinwumi Adesina, right, on my team. It wouldn't be bad, right? I mean, like, imagine that you had, one of the engineers that built Twitter, right, on your team, or one of the engineers that built LinkedIn, right, on your team. It wouldn't be bad at all. But you see, those people also started from somewhere. They were also gems in the rough at some point. And people took chances on them. People recognized what they were capable of, what they could become. So when I came into Lautech, I wanted to start a group, right? I wanted to start a group of poets and writers. So I wrote my poetry on foolscap sheets, and then I photocopied my poetry. And I went around Lautech and pasted these foolscap sheets on notice boards around Lautech. There was no WhatsApp broadcast and all of that back then, right? So I had to go to notice boards. So, and I said, love poetry, call me. So I put my number there. After some weeks, nobody called me. But you know what I did? I decided to go and start looking for people by myself within the streets of Lautech. So I will go, I will be working, and then I will see somebody who looks nerdy, N-E-R-D-Y, right? And then I'll stop them on the way, and they will say, and I'll ask, sorry, hello, my name is Jason Damlare. Do you write poetry? And some of them will look at me with bewildered eyes. I'm like, bemused, expressions like, what's this young man saying, right? And some will say, oh yes, I write poetry. Some will say, I don't write, but I would love to know how to write. This was how this group kept growing until we were like 21. I was able to identify, in fact, the person who lives in, who owns this Lions Lounge, Sheikh Gbadebo. I met him in a lecture hall, MKO Lecture Theatre, right? We were classmates. I was moving down to go sit at my seat, and then I saw him with an art textbook open in front of him. And I'm like, wow, like somebody's reading an art textbook. So I began to ask him questions like, where did you get this textbook? He said he bought it as his own. I was like, for real? The textbook was very solid. And then we had conversations. Before you knew it, it was already part of my group. I was able to find these people because I knew myself and I could see the same potentials in me, in them. Are you getting the picture? But at that time, none of us looked like it. there was one lady that became part of the group through something. That's another thing I'll talk about. So the Sun newspaper did an interview for me many years ago when I was still a student about my library. So I was very glad to hear about your library. So I talked about how many books I had, where I used to go and buy books. I used to go and buy books in Lagos, on that bridge in Ikeja, second-hand books, right? So I would buy it in volumes and bring it back to Ogbomosho. So I had a lot of books. So this lady read the interview, and she was like, because I said in the interview that I'm a student of Lautech agronomy. So she began to look out for me. And then one day we were having practicals. She saw me and she said, I read your interview in the newspaper. Like, you mentioned you had a group. Can I join your group? So we put her through the process and then she joined the group. Now, the thing is, the fact that you have recognized these potentials in yourself and this dream, it makes it easy for you to see the same fire in the eyes of people that carry the same thing. It makes it very easy. When you have conversations with those that carry the same thing, you will know. There will be like a stirring within you. In fact, you won't have talked like 30 minutes that you begin to feel so excited that I found somebody like me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, the thing about those kind of people is that a lot of them are also able to be self-starters, meaning that they can also start things by themselves. So what will it take for them to listen to you and say, I would rather follow what this person has already envisioned? The key is to be the one who offers the greatest level of sacrifice. If you are the one who sacrifices the most within your relationship, it won't be long before people will trust you for leadership. Are you getting the picture? It won't be long before people will trust you with leadership. And I've seen this work again. I've worked with amazing people. I work with amazing people. I mean, like, not just in my company, like in different spheres of my life. I have had the opportunity to work with amazing people. But every single time I've seen that when amazing people are in the same room, the person who sacrifices the most soon receives the badge of leadership. People will soon begin to look for that person to contribute. They will soon begin to wait to hear the person's contribution, right? Before you know it, they will want the person to give leadership to them. So that is a way you can actually attract people to yourself, right? Now, how do you also do it? In the big picture of what you see that you are meant to pursue, where can you locate the big pictures of their own lives as well? And show them that, see, in this big picture, see your own too here. I am willing to serve. I'm willing to serve the purpose that you have in pursuit of this ultimate purpose. Are you getting the picture? Like, I am willing to sacrifice for you to attain. And this is one of the interesting things. In Innovate Lab, for instance, sincerely, like, I put premium on my team than myself. I'm more interested in my team succeeding than myself. Because I feel like if they succeed, I've succeeded. So I'm rather always looking out for how can I help them move better into what they are meant to do? How can I push them? How can I support them? How can I give them the opportunity they need to flourish? If I am able to do that with them consistently, it won't be long before all that they become soon now becomes like a platform for me also to stand up on. Do you get the picture? So I don't know if that answers your question. All right, so the second one is knowledge sourcing, knowledge creation. Creation. I mean, it's very important for you to know how to access information. Sincerely. It's very important. But you see, it's not something that happens upon you in one day. So let me tell you how mine started. I am always fascinated with the libraries of people I admire. Right? When you go and visit people, what's the first thing you go and look for? Like, particularly people that are older than you. What's the first thing you look for? Hope it's not their cars. Oh. You can't know a person through the cars they drive. You can't know the secrets of a person through all the gadgets they've gotten in their house. But when you are able to see their library, you'll be able to touch a bit of what has made them what they are. So that's one of the first things I do. I want to know the books that people have read that shape them. So I ask for recommendations. I go to their houses. I go to their libraries. I want to say one thing. So there was this particular like mentor of mine. Because of the way I approach, I approach him and my desire for knowledge, I was the only person of my age that he ever gave permission to his library. I was the only person of my age he ever gave permission. And there were some books I read in that library that changed my life forever. Like, see, if you were to come to ask me for the books I have read that have made the most impact in my life, if I shared those books with you and you went to read those books, I will have shortened your journey by like 10 years. Because it took me long before I found all those books. I didn't find them in one day. I was finding them from year to year. But now I give you the list of all of them and you are able to sit with them over 3 months to internalize them, over 9 months. What it means is that I've given you my shoulders to stand upon. Are you getting the picture? Now, from the books that I've now told you or I've recommended to you, you will most likely now see those books also talking about other books. Or you will go and look for other books the authors of those books wrote. That's how you begin to curate knowledge. You are able to find the substance in the midst of trash, right? You're able to find substance. So let me give you one person. I'm going to share one name with you right now. This person has really been a huge source of, how do I call it, like an expansion for my mind over the past 2 years. His name is David Perel. David Perel. Please write his name down and go and search for him. David Perel. David and then Perell. David Perel. If you read his articles, you are going to be pointed in the directions of timeless materials. Okay? So I think that answers that.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, sir. So we have another question here. It says, how do you know the right person to bring on board when starting your business? 1, at what phase is it best to bring someone in? How to launch a national project and how to deal with politics within the business sector?
I'm going to see how to answer this.
A similar question to bringing people in also says, when should you have investors?
Okay, so there is no formula, right? There is no formula. When I was going to start Innovate Lab, right, I didn't have money, but I knew how to start a business. But as God will have it, I had a secondary school mate, right? We had not seen in more than a decade, like for a very long time. And it wasn't as if we were friends in school, right? When I was in school, I was in between. I said, wait till that they talk for there, just back and forth. And they said, nothing, like just normal. So that was how I said he could add me. So he added me to the group. So when I began to contribute on the group, I didn't know people were already noticing me, right? So they were noticing me. So this guy too was noticing me. So after a while, I got fed up with the group because I just felt these guys have not matured. They were still talking about how many girls they slept with, how many bottles of beer they drank. I'm like, man, no, now we have moved beyond this. So I exited the group after myself and that guy had reconnected, right? And so we got talking about what God was putting upon our hearts. And we saw that it was the same thing. So at that time, he was in France, right? And then it was like, okay, we're going to start a business together. And about 85% of our startup capital came from him, right? And we had not seen. In fact, till today, we've still not seen. My partner, one of my partners, we've not seen till today because from France, he went to the US. And so the time I traveled to France, he was already in the US. So maybe when I travel to the US, we'll meet, or when it comes to Nigeria, anytime soon. So what I'm trying to say is that the way we start businesses is not cut and dried. For some other people, it's their parents that give them money, right? For some other people, they work at another job and save money, right, to start a business. So it could be different. But the most important thing is this. if you have a vision, one of the things a vision tells you is it helps you know the limit of what you are capable of doing. So you can't be gbogbo nishe all the time. And one of the challenges I see with people who are starting businesses is that people want to have 100% of what they start. So because they want to have 100%, they struggle and they stress themselves, trying to do everything, trying to be everything. You don't have to labor and toil like that. You are only wasting time. One of the things I'm persuaded about is that if I could have inspiration that helped me build a successful business the first time, inspiration does not run dry now, right? So after the first success, I can start another one. Right? I can start another one. And the other ones I start, I might own them 100%. But the first one you start does not have to be what? Owned 100%. So what do you look for? Look for people that have complementary skills. Skills where you are weak, right? Like, so for instance, there are some people who are very good technically. Let me use the tech world. They can code, but they cannot market. So they are very good with coding, but nobody knows. So they keep building and building, but they don't have somebody that can tell people that we build amazing code, right? And all of that. So what that person who is a technical person needs is to get what? A marketer, a salesperson, someone that can start pitching what the business does. Right. Now, at the beginning of a business, you might decide that I have the money to hire a salesperson. So if you have the money, it's fine. You don't have to let go of equity, right? But if you don't have the money, what you will need to do is to get somebody who is a partner and decide on what? On an equity level. But the thing is, partnerships should also be treated like marriage courtship. You have to spend time to study who you would take on as your partner. Because first of all, people change. In fact, I have come to see that business partner is like marriage. You have to make it work. See, messy, right? So now let me give you a very good analogy. Imagine that Victoria, you and what's the name of the lady beside you? Wumi. So Wumi and Victoria, imagine that both of you start a business. And that business is already growing. Suddenly Wumi says that, oh boy, I want jackpot. And then already on your CAC certificate, your memorandum, MEMAT, incorporation articles, you already have the shares of the company split 50-50. Now you are in Nigeria. You are working on the business. She has jackpot. She is working and earning money. She's now telling you, sorry, I've gotten busy nowadays, so I can see the good work you're doing. And you're like, oh boy, like, you have 50%. You have 50%. Now, what happens is that you can start resenting the person. That I'm the one doing all the work. When the gains come now, you will now say, I have 50% shares. So that's one of the reasons why it's very important to know the people that you will partner with. You must be able to know that over the long term, right? Being in partnership with them will actually not harm you, not hurt you, right? And also, it will lead to like, how do I call it? Like the benefit of all of you at the same time, not at the detriment of someone. So these things are very important. Like I would always counsel for you to get a legal person when you want to do things like start a partnership. Like get somebody that understands the dynamics of partnerships so that they can explain to you. It doesn't matter. If the person is investing money inside your company, person is investing 1 million naira, let a lawyer read so that they won't say you will be giving dividends in perpetuity. Meaning that for as long as your business exists, they will be collecting dividend on top of 1 million naira. So these are things that you need a legal person or you need mentors, people who have gone ahead to actually come in and help you with counsel on that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And again, if you want to know more about these things, you should join the community. I can guarantee that you learn so much. I just want you to quickly talk about, it's still in line with this question you just answered, mental bandwidth or capacity
Okay.
for a business owner, especially when you're looking for funds and for your
Man.
business, and then you don't even have money to eat or to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's, very great question. Because this is one of the major challenges in even thinking of building a great business. Because you're like, oh boy, I need to eat. Like, I need to survive. Like, I mean, all of those things are idealistic jargons, man. But you see, let me tell you something. I have learned that there are people that have done amazing things in spite of the greatest levels of deprivation. They have done amazing things. There were people that, I remember there's a lady, she was one of the speakers that we should have had at ODS last year. She told me, she said, well, she couldn't come, like she had a class, she had to be in the office that day. So she said, so we're talking. She said, JD, she said, when I was in university, my dad fell on hard times. And for my entire university program, I could not buy one single new cloth. It was my cousins that would pass me down, right? That she lived in great deprivation. She couldn't afford, like, she scraped by till she graduated. She said, but today, there is nothing I want to buy that I cannot afford. Now, the deprivation she went through, was it at the same time she was studying in school? Yes, because she was in university, right? So she could have also had excuses that, because see how my life has turned out. I can't really focus on school. I need to focus on survival. But she was able to still do school, right? While she was experiencing that deprivation. It didn't matter how it mattered how she did it because she did it in the right way. She put her shame aside and was willing to pass me down. They that used to buy brand new clothes before, right? But now, so the one she wore is the one she will also now give her sister. So even after they passed it down to her, she will have to pass it down to her sister. That's how much the deprivation was. In fact, I have another story of a similar person. This person was also she studied in Unilag. She said she used bedroom slippers as an undergraduate, almost throughout school. Now, how does that sound? Is anybody using bedroom slippers here? These are fancy slippers, man. This is not bedroom, this is not Dunlop. Right? She used Dunlop. I know Dunlop we file and then, that kind of thing. Now, the difference between a person who is going through that and who is able to build something substantial is that person sees what they are going through as delayed gratification. That I will go through this thing now because I am very sure that in some years' time, this sacrifice will pay off. So when they make some money, they plow it back into their business. They don't mind that people are laughing at them that you have not changed your clothes. Right? This guy, every time, blue trouser. Oh boy, now the only trouser you get with that, they'll ask, and people will mock them. But they know that they are actually pursuing what? A goal. And they keep plowing back. Somebody said he bought 30 books last year, right? He said he bought 30 books. There was a time when all my pocket money will go into books. Because I knew that, if I could load my mind, this mind will make all that money back in multiple folds. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. It was deprivation in the short term. But in the long term, it has given me something nobody can take from me. It's not possible. One of the reasons why I'm bold to stand anywhere, I can stand anywhere, is because I don't feel like you can speak on any topic and I'll be ignorant. At least I will know something about it. At least I will know something and I'll be able to carry out an intelligent conversation with you within the ambit of what I know. And then the one I don't know, I'll say, sorry, I don't know up to this level, right? But at least to this point, I know it. But at some point, it felt like, why are you not spending on clothes and stuff like that? But then there are some people that it's not as if they even have to spend on clothes. They don't have the money, right? and they don't have the money at all. I did a session on Telegram recently, Money Matters. I have a Telegram group, lead with JD, on Money Matters. So I was in Kenya recently for a workshop, and I was surprised that the concept I had shared on this thing was what one man was sharing with me. And as he was sharing, I was just smiling. And it helped me to see that Africa and Africans, we need to leverage the power of community to get our projects off the ground. Our parents have done this. Many of us went to school on cooperative money. Is it true or not?
True, sir.
It's true. Many of us. So is it possible for us to form cooperatives in raising capital for business as well? Yes, it is very true. So imagine that you know that, okay, I will need 500,000 or 200,000 to start my business. And then you know some other people want to also start business. See, we'll be contributing 20K per month. And we'll do it for 10 months. You go and do tutorial, right? You do tutorial for 10 students, 2,000. You make your 20,000 for that month, right? You donate it. You contribute it. The first person cashes out and starts their business, right? And then the next person also gets their 200K. By the time 10 months is over, 10 people have what? Started their businesses. So we cannot, see, one of these days I will really do a session on just this topic alone, right? How we must leverage community for prosperity. Like how we can leverage community for rapid prosperity. So I feel I've answered that person's question that even if you don't have money, go and do something. Now, let me give a very good example. Because sometimes people will say, why are you telling me to go and do something? In America, students buy their first cars most times when they are in secondary school, high school. And how do they buy the cars? They have jobs that they do, part-time jobs. Some of them, it is to go and be delivering newspaper to people's doors every morning, right? And they will get paid for it. For some of them, they will go and do car wash for people, and they will get paid for it. For instance, if there was somebody that came to me and said, sir, I have a business idea, and I need to raise a certain amount. Please, are there things that you want to do or you need to do that you are seeking to outsource? I don't mind doing them. And I said, okay, I normally take my car to this car wash to wash. If you can wash my car, that's fine. And the person is washing the car maybe 4 times in a month. By the time he gathers the money together, he has gotten maybe 10 other people that is washing their cars. In no time, what will happen? He will have the money he needs to start the business. But a lot of times, many of us look at ourselves as, man, that's menial. Menial. That is below me. No. You don't start. You won't be able to start your businesses like that if you don't have money and you want to build something great. If you are under pressure, most likely you will compromise on the standards of how great businesses are built. That's why you need to be able to build for the long term by doing some of these things that are not convenient at the beginning, but over the long term, they will give you the results you are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How many people feel like these responses are so awesome? Like, there are even touchy points on things that were not asked. And again, would you like to have a mini MBA with JD?
Let me talk about that. So, you see, one of the things I love doing, I love sharing the things I've learned. That was basically why I set up the Lead with JD Telegram page. I just felt, I have learned a whole lot. I have seen principles that work for me. I want to share them. But the interesting thing is that there is a difference between a community that doesn't have commitments and a community that has what? Commitments. With a community that doesn't have commitments, it is when you are available. So for the past 1 month now, I've not been able to come to the part 2 of the topic I started last month or something. And I don't know when I will be able to go back because there's basically no commitment. So it's when I see free time that I'll be able to go back and say, hey, let's do the part 2. But when you have a community that has commitment, what happens is that there is greater impetus to actually keep the conversations going. So I believe that, you will get more details about something that we are putting together.
Thank you so very much, sir. We wish that we can take all the questions. In fact, I wish you can read all the questions that you've written, but time is not, and I would like you to share about that.
Okay.
So the next person I'll be calling is Iniolua James. Is she still here?
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for how much you've shared. I've really learned a lot. So, while you were talking about the what of a great business, you mentioned that there has to be superior results, and part of the metrics of that superior results is how irreplaceable you are, and how, or in some sense, how much people would miss you if you were absent.
That would be distinct impact.
Oh, yes, I'm very sorry. Okay. Yes, distinctive impacts. And then you mentioned lasting endurance. Now, my question is, how do we juxtapose staying irreplaceable with sharing the knowledge we have? Okay. So take, for instance, the moi moi recipe lady, for example. If she's going to want to stay irreplaceable, she would be tempted to hoard her recipe. Knowledge, yeah. But if she's going to last for a long time, she has to give it to someone else for, so say for instance, something like what happened to Mr. Herbert. So say she dies, there has to be someone that has the recipe and so can continue. So how does she handle not hoarding, okay, as well as raising other people?
All right, thank you. So there's something called trade secrets or IP. There are some certain things that if that's the core of your business, if that's why your business succeeds, you have legal rights and even moral rights to say that I'm not sharing this. For instance, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's recipe, like the constitution of the syrup that is the base for Coca-Cola, is a secret that is passed from generation to generation. It's only members of that family that ever have access to the formula of that syrup. Right? So the recipe is kept in a safe. Like it's kept in safeguard. I don't know whether it's in a bank or something. Right? So you cannot access it except you are the successor to the previous person. So that's when the safe will be opened and then you'll be able to access, and then you can be the one that, how do I call it, like works around the formulation of that. It's the same way with Kentucky Fried Chicken. Right? So the reason why KFC, their chickens feel the same way, taste the same way, is because there's a particular recipe. So that recipe is like IP. Right? So, for instance, Ayo Migbokwe may not necessarily teach people what a recipe is in detail, but she can tell people about how to build a business around food. She can share that knowledge like with people. But that recipe that makes her business is something she has to keep to herself. But then there are some other people that feel like, come, we can be an open source world. Like we don't have to hoard our knowledge. Like we can open source stuff. So for instance, how many people have heard of Linux, the operating system? The operating system Linux. So Linux was built as an alternative to Windows. Right? The Windows OS. Because Windows is owned by Microsoft. And it is Windows that actually made Microsoft as successful as it became, right? Because the moment you use the Windows OS, then you have to use a lot of Microsoft software. I remember back in the day when you have to download, you have CDs that you used to download Microsoft Word, all the Microsoft Suite and all of that. But now it's bundled, right? Like, but you have to pay online and stuff. So Linux now came up. The guy came up and said, why are you hoarding OS, right? And you are just a gatekeeper. We can make this open source so that everybody can access it. They can build on it. They can tweak it to their taste. And they can build software on this, on this platform. Now, Linus Torvald, the founder of Linux, is not as rich as Bill Gates. But interestingly, he himself is a multi-millionaire. So the last time I saw his net worth was about $22 million or something like that. I think it was about $22 million or something. Wait, is that not enough for a person to live? I'm asking you a question, right? Now, Because if he wanted to build Linux as a closed OS, people will pay for it. Are you getting the picture? So he could have also been as rich as Bill Gates. But he had other measures of success beyond just the money he made. It was more of, I am building an operating system that will help people that don't have money to subscribe, to pay for Microsoft products, to be able to access their computers and do things on their computers. And so he's getting his fulfillment from there, right? But at the same time, he's getting money for other things that he's doing that came because it became popular through Linux. So when people knew that he was going to build Linux, they began to invite him to be part of other projects that paid him for that. So he has killed two birds with what? With one stone. But the final thing I will say about that is, I think it was a case of guilty conscience that affected Bill Gates at some point. That was why he started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That he was going to give how many percent of his wealth? I think 90% or something like that, of his wealth in his lifetime. Now, capitalism, that's another conversation entirely, right? That's another conversation. But what I'll just say about that is, to the point you feel like something serves the overall purpose and vision you are pursuing, if open sourcing everything you know is what helps you to fulfill the overall purpose, then by all means open source it. If keeping some things as trade secrets is what will help you accomplish your purpose, by all means keep some of those things a secret. I feel like there is basically nothing I can share about maybe Innovate Lab. There's basically nothing I can share. The only thing I might not be able to share is financial details, right? But every other thing I can share, like, oh, this is how we do stuff. This is how we hire people. This is how we handle people, when maybe they are not aligning with the vision. I can share as many of those things because it is not so much in the sharing. The magic is not in the sharing. It is in the implementation. So I can give you everything line upon line, but you might not be able to implement it if we don't share the same purpose and the same vision. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. Please clap for him once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, and appreciate yourself for sitting still too, because
I
know
appreciate
it's been a
you
very
all.
long evening.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the last question of this evening. But before I ask this question, I want to say that we're not going to discard these questions, so don't be scared that we're going to discard your question. In the first AMA, that's Ask Me Anything session of the community, we're going to be treating some of these questions. So I'm saying that to say that, once again, you need to join the community. Okay. So I'm going to bundle 3 questions in one. The first one says, how do you balance being redemptive and making profits? But I will rephrase that question. So say that, because this other person is also asking similar question, but it's about Innovate Lab. So I'm going to say, how do you balance being a redemptive business, or how does Innovate Lab balances being a redemptive business and building impacts and also profits? And then the other one would be, what are the principles that is currently driving Innovate Lab at the moment?
All right, so how do you balance being a redemptive business, making impact, and then profitability? So this is it. When we started Innovate Lab, right, and we're basically pursuing, we were building redemptively, and basically I was sharing about the idea of building redemptively. It is the idea of I sacrifice, we win, right? So that's like the basic idea. Number 2, the number 2 level of building a redemptive business. So I sacrifice, we win speaks to the leadership of the business. Number 2 is operations, how we build, right? How we build. We build to bless people. We build to bless people. Like, everything we do is actually to bless. Now, there's a difference between just impacting people and blessing people, right? So we actually build to bless. And when we say bless, it is that our work touches people holistically. It's not just mentally, it's not just economically or financially, it's also spiritually. So there's a spiritual component to what we do. That people, so let me give you a very good example of this. I mean, can you imagine this with me? Imagine that somebody came to your office for an interview, and when they came to your office, they had planned to commit suicide that morning. And after they had interaction with you in the office, like every desire to commit suicide disappeared. That is a practical experience we've had in Innovate Lab. A young lady came for an interview. I was one interviewing her. I didn't know anything about her situation. But 3 months later, she called me and said, I want to tell you a story. You remember the day I came for this interview? I had already perfected the plans to commit suicide. Like, I was about to do it when I remembered I had an appointment with you. So I said, let me fulfill this appointment as the last thing I do before I go to end it all. But today, she's doing amazingly well. She's flourishing. This is 4 years after. 4 years after. I'm just trying to say that we don't just do business to impact people mentally, emotionally. Like, we do business to bless people. It's a key driving force in what we do. All right. Now, that is the real track on which we run. And in the course of that, as the train moves, impact is made. You can't build redemptively without making impact. The challenge now is profit. So profit, we began to see that the things we want to do, if we were to put a price tag on them in Ogbomoso will not be able to pay. Because, we would put events together that are far subsidized, right? And people will still say, sorry, we can't afford it. So we realized that if we were going to actually be able to help people here and still be a business that is sustainable, then we need to explore other options to help us hack revenue, our revenue stream. So what did we do? We began to ideate on services we could provide and decided that these services we would offer it to people outside here. So we started a company called Keola. So some of you might not know Keola, but you can check our website, keola.com, right? Q-E-O-L-A. Q-E-O-L-A. How many people have heard of it before? Okay, just a few people, right? So Q-E-O-L-A. So everybody knows Innovate Lab. Not too many people know Keola. That's because Keola's market is not necessarily Ogbomoso, right? So we have clients across the world, right? In North America, in Europe, and in Africa, right? And so what we do with Keola is software development, branding, digital marketing, and all of those things. So we serve clients in these areas. Now, those clients pay us money. Now, the money they pay us is able to help us subsidize many of the events we run in the community. It's able to help us take in more interns than we would normally take, right? On a normal day, we should be more, how do I call it, restrained with the people we take in. But Keola helps us to have more bandwidth, like financial bandwidth, to be able to accommodate more people, right, into our space, right, into the things we do. So that's how we've been tackling profitability. But the interesting thing is that as we have been building Keola, we have also been working on, we understand that Innovate Lab is not a charity. So there are things we can do as Innovate Lab that can still make us profitable. So some of the things we are doing include consulting for universities. So we started so we worked with Babcock University last year. We helped them to run an entrepreneurship support program. We are doing the same thing with them this year, right? So we have also been helping organizations train people like in some of these skills, right? So some of them are local organizations, some of them are global organizations. So we partner with them to do trainings. So we are seeing that Innovate Lab itself, even while pursuing redemptive business and impact, can also be profitable. So we are hacking these things one after the other. But we needed to set up Keola as fast as possible to be able to ensure that we kept our doors open. we're able to pay competitive salaries, right? Like in Ogbomosho, and to even do more than what Ogbomosho sees. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Have you learned something from these questions? If you've learned something, can I hear your thunderous? Can I hear thunderous class from you again? All right. So, or do you want me to take more questions? Yeah, I know.
So
that
I have some last words.
Okay.
I have some last words. You see, I feel like I want to look in each person's eyes and tell you that you are more than able. I tell you, like you are more than able to build something that will transform lives, right? That will shape history. You are more than, like, you are capable. You are resilient. Like, one of the things I've learned is if you can let this thing sink in well enough, you will find that there is no manner of obstacle that can actually stand before you. You will outlast the obstacles, right? You will outlast them. They will look at you and say, you are not giving up. And say, we surrender. We have weathered storms. I mean, and that's part of, so when she was talking about the community, right? The community is a sort of space where we're going to be able to have very unfiltered conversations, like about the nitty-gritty of business, right? So this is still like, we have time limit here, right? Like, so we have to go home and all of that. But I wished, sincerely, that's another thing. I wished I had some mentors at the beginning of starting business. I'm only getting some of them now. Like last year and 2 years ago, that's when I got some mentors I was really looking for, right? I have had some before, but the kind of direction I was looking to take the business to was not what they could fully give me guidance on, right? And so I found some mentors recently that have really just, made us move faster than we could have ever moved, right? And the interesting thing is that the first thing that I see about those mentors is that they are as much invested in our success as we are. It's as if you can open their hearts and check how invested they are in the success of my business, of our business, Innovate Lab, you will see that it is almost on the same level as our own. So you see them coming back to you with things they've been imagining and envisioning and saying that, I'm thinking we should try this or try that. And you're like, even we have never thought of that. It's because of how invested they are. And so in building a community where people can become strengtheners to one another and people can receive collective intelligence, collective wisdom, we'll find that we are able to make faster progress than what we would do if we're trying to feel our way by ourselves, right? So I can't wait to see the amazing businesses that have not only emerged, but that will also emerge. I can't wait to see you guys in the news. I can't wait to see people sharing testimonials that, if not for the fact that Victoria started her business, I don't know where I will have been right now. Or if not for the fact that Emmanuel or Damilola, which other name is here? Beams, right? Which other name? Bolu, right? Which other name? Comfort, Elijah. What? La Baker. Amazing. Amazing. I mean, it's good to have people like that too. Like, it's good to have people that support. She didn't say anything by herself, but you were shouting it on her behalf. Can you give her a round of applause, please? I love that. And that is what I believe we can do together if we work together. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Please, let's appreciate Mr. JD once again. Thank you, sir. And appreciate yourself as well.
Is that what you want to do for yourself? Appreciate yourself. Thank you, everyone, for waiting till the end. So I just wanted to look at somebody. What was your last word? You said we are going to the top together. So just look at somebody. Look at them in the eye. Eyeball to eyeball. Face to face. Say, we are going to the top together. Some people are not convinced, though. Victoria, let me look at you. We are going to the top together. So thank you very much. Thank you for waiting till now. I believe you got you got a particular sticker when you were coming in. You got the affirmations. So please paste it somewhere that is visible for you to always see and constantly remind yourself of what is on the affirmation. You know, Uncle JD talked about inner self-talk. And one of the ways that you build that is you paste what you want to see. You have to constantly see it. Please share your experience with us on social media. We want to see them. The link, you will get the recording. Don't worry. You will get the. Please watch out for your mails. All the further information will be on your mails. You can rewatch tonight on our YouTube channels. We have some events coming up. Great Plus Africa. It's free. It's a free event. So please register for it. And we also have another event coming up at Innovate Lab, Monetize Your Skill. So some of you, you have a skill, and you are thinking about how do I make money from this skill? Like Uncle Jedi just mentioned, how he was able to, how the Innovate Lab was able to generate income and was still able to make impact. So please register for the event. All the full details for the event will come out soon. Yeah, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. So please connect with somebody, get someone's contact. You know, just reach out to someone. You might be reaching out to the next Jeff Bezos. Thank you. Good night.
Hello, everybody. Please, before you step out of the compound, can you just come together? Let's take a final picture, a group picture, so that I can commemorate this event. Please, let's move forward. Please, guys, just come forward.
We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. It's calling us into freedom. Let my people go. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God said He's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade.
Please come forward. Please make haste, come forward so that you can leave on time. You can continue networking after now. Please move forward.
If you lost, say you know what trouble, let my people go. The blood, sweat, and the tears.
Please break up the conversations and move forward.
If you lost, say you know what trouble, let my people go.
Beams. Beams. Please break up your conversation and move forward.
In the water, God said He's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade.
Hello, guys, please. Hello, brothers. And those people sitting down, please stand up and move forward. Let's make this very snappy, quickly. Please, let's take the pictures very quickly. Sir.